looking at worksheet 24. There's two sides to it, and if you look at the first side, they are giving you an example of side, 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 even though they don't have it marked. So it would be marked like this with the three sides. And they're giving you an example of side, angle, side. And this angle must be in between the two sides. You also should have your sheet that has this information on it, which would be helpful. So on the front, it says identify which property will prove these triangles congruent. We're only looking for side, 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 angle, side, or we would say none of these. So looking at number one, I see that they have three sets of congruent sides. So this is going to be congruent by side, side, side. Should be pretty quick. Now, when you look at a problem like number 9, I wanted to originally say side, angle, side, but if you look at this triangle, do you see that it's ASS or SSA? The angles don't match up the same. See how that's an included angle and this one's not? So these are not congruent by SAS. So don't throw them out. Don't they share this side? Remember that? That's called the reflexive property, when they share a side. So anytime you see something that shares a side like this, mark it. So here we have side, side, and a third side. You can't mark an angle unless they're vertical angles. You can't mark a side unless they're the same side. So these actually are congruent, again, by side, side, side. The angle was there to throw you off. Okay. Number 6 has no sides, so can it be either of these? This looks like angle, 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 which is not congruent. So we would write none here, or you can put not congruent like that. I would take out. Okay, one more I want to show you. This is that sort of bow tie looking one. So you have these two sides. You don't know this third side. You can't mark it congruent. But I do know that opposite or vertical angles. So these are considered opposite or vertical angles. And those are congruent. Okay? So now I have the side included angle side. So this one is SAS. Okay. One more I want to talk about because I think this one is hard to find, and it's number 8. I was trying to find a highlighter. So when you go to look at this, guys, you got this triangle. Look at this triangle here. That's one of the triangles. And then you have the other triangle, and it is here. Do you see it? So if you look at those two big triangles, you have this side marked with this side, or you can see these little pieces here, and then these two sides, and then these two sides. So this one is side, side, side. Okay, so you have a couple more to do on your own. Let's flip it to the back. And when I'm looking at this, we are talking about angle, side, angle, 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 side. And I had on here not congruent, but we actually talked about that. So can you cross that off for me? This is that hypotenuse leg, okay? We originally weren't going to do that, but I am. So cross off not congruent. They are congruent. It's by hypotenuse leg. Okay, so angle, side, angle, the side is included. Angle, angle, side is two angles, the side's on the outside. And hypotenuse leg, this got some of you yesterday, it has to be a right triangle, and the hypotenuse has to be one of the ones marked. It can't be two legs. That'd be angle, side, angle. The hypotenuse has to be marked. And then we have that. So HL stands for hypotenuse leg. So just because it's a right angle does not mean that this holds true. All right, take a second and look at some of these down here. All right, so let's look at a couple of these. We are only using ASA, AAS, and add in here HL for hypotenuse leg. All right, so I'm going to jump around a little bit. If you look over here at number 6, I have a side and an angle. You can't make something up. I can't tell you this other side is congruent or that this side is congruent, but I can tell you that vertical angles are congruent. So you have to bring some of your knowledge to the table. And then, guys, this is angle, angle, side. Don't see the right angle and say, oh, it's hypotenuse leg. We don't have the hypotenuse and the leg marked. We have an angle, angle, side. So angle, angle, side. Okay. I'm jumping to number 2. They share a side. As soon as you see a shared side or an opposite angle, mark it. Now, a lot of you would say it's not congruent because you're seeing the ASS or SSA, which is not congruent. But this is a right triangle. You have the hypotenuse. Right here is the hypotenuse, and you have a leg. A leg is one of the sides off the 90-degree angle. So this one is hypotenuse leg. All right, let me find one more. Let's go down to number 5. In number 5, I have 2 angles and a side that is in the middle. So that would be angle, side, angle, because that side is included. So that's all you're doing on 24, is going through and labeling which one it is or if it isn't one. So don't be tricked by these. We're going to check them and give them back. All right, flip it over to the next page, please. This is worksheet 24A. So label it 24A. And now we're going to mix up all of our congruents. The side, 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 SAS, ASA, and AAS. So this worksheet's a nice review that splits them up on the 2 parts, and it has this on top, so that would be helpful, or your note card. This is anything. So it says, state if the 2 triangles are congruent, and then how do you know? So I'm looking at this first one. They share a side. Can I prove these are congruent? Well, I see an A, an S, and an S, or SSA. Does that prove congruence? No. So are they congruent? I'm going to put a congruent sign with a slash because it's that SSA, which is not a congruence one. All right, look at number 2. Do you see that they share a side? So mark that. And you have angles and a side that's included. That's ASA. So yes, they are congruent. ASA. So you don't have to write it out, you just use the congruent symbol. All right, let's pick another one. I'll go to number 6. So we're doing the same thing. We have opposite angles right here. And so you have a right angle, but it's not hypotenuse leg. We're not doing that one on here. You have a right angle, so congruent angles, congruent sides, angles. Your side is sandwiched between angles, so it's angle, side, angle. Okay, so that's it for the front. Just reminding you that you're going to go through and mark things like the reflexive property and opposite angles. Having those things marked is going to help you. There's a couple more like that. All right, now the back is where it's a little more challenging because I want to make sure we understand it. So come on to the back. I am telling you to prove these are congruent with ASA, what else would I need? So what additional information is required, and you're going to write it. So do I need an angle? Do I need a side? Well, guys, here's what I know. I know this angle is congruent to this angle, and I know that UT is congruent to UT. I've got an angle. I've got a side. I need another angle, don't I? So which angle do I need? Do I need the angle S down here or this angle SUT? Do I need this one down here or this guy here? Well, if I name this guy here, I have angle side. I want the side in between, so it's got to be that this angle is congruent to this angle. That's what I needed. I can't call it angle U because it could be the big or the little, so I've got to say angle SUT would have to be congruent to angle DUT. So that's what you're doing on these. Okay, now look at number 12. I'm going to mark that reflexive property. They want me to use SAS. So I have a side, I have an angle, I need another side. I've got a side, an angle, I need another side. Side, angle, it's got to be here, guys. These sides have to have that angle in the middle. So it's got to be that this is congruent to this. So to prove it congruent, I need to show that WV is congruent to XK. Okay, pick one more. Let's go down here, 18. So I need side, angle, side. I see the side. I don't see an angle, but you remember that bow tie looking thing? So I do have the angle. That's information we know because the definition of vertical angles. But what I don't have is the extra side. So I guess the question is, do I want it to be the sides out here or the sides in here? If I pick the sides out here, I have ASS or SSA, not what I want. If I pick the sides here, that puts them with an included angle. So I need WV to be congruent to MV. So you're saying what else needs to happen? Okay, so when you look at number 17, you know this is true. You have the sides marked, you have the reflexive, but what you need is the third side, which would be RS has to be congruent to QD. Do what?
Add stuff in there when it's
Okay,
not there.
you are 100% right. I cannot add stuff in here, but they're saying what would make this proof. So in this one, it says, what would you need to make this true? Like, how would you make this true? Now, over here on this side, if you don't have it, you can't prove it. Like this, I know is congruent, so I can prove this by angle, side, angle. But I can't come in and say, oh, these sides are congruent. This is what I'm given. How do I know it? On the other side, they're saying, hey, we're going to give you some information. Give me one more piece that makes this true. So that's what they're trying to do, is get you to pick. If I want to prove this as angle, side, angle, you're right. I can't just come in and say this is congruent. But they're saying, make this statement true. Make these congruent by angle, side, angle. Well, I have two angles. If I want this, I need one side. And so to make angle, side, angle work in this picture, it has to be this side congruent to this side. So you're basically making this congruent statement work, not making it up. They're saying, what else do you need to add for this to be true? Well, I need DE to be congruent to KJ, and then it fits this congruent statement. So you're working backwards on these. So you're right, you cannot make something up, but they're saying give the additional information to make this happen. So you're working backwards. All right, so finish these up.